as Brian and Perry discovered a long time ago, gain, logic, fear works the best. So the sheet that you have that's got all the bright colors on it that looks kind of like a matrix, it looks like that, actually allows you to touch your prospect with 1,728 different gain, logic, fear sequences. So you will never have to beat them over the head again to buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, without having some different message, and you'll never feel bad because you are continuing to berate them with the same message over and over and over. And the way this works is, we call it spades because the top spells that. So self-interest, personal, authority, data, events, and stories. And the green are the gain. So if you'll notice, the greens are all about them, all about what they're going to get. What's in it for me? So under the self-interest, we can talk about status, like things that people who have way too much money or self-esteem issues buy, like Rolls Royces or used black cards or things like that. No, it doesn't apply to anybody in this room. Or something that will get something for them, like the Dropbox model, where Dropbox said for every friend that you refer to Dropbox, we'll give you an extra 20 megabytes or 50 megabytes or whatever of space. That kind of built Dropbox's business, right? You can also do an exclusive invite. Not everyone can qualify. We use that for War Room. Digital Marketer uses that in what we call invite-only funnels. You can do scarcity. Supplies are running out. Those are kind of deadline offers. This is the new thing. The number one reason people buy a new car is because they're tired of the old one. The number one reason people buy a new house is because they're tired of the old one. New is a big self-interest for people, so speak to that. And then FOMO, you're missing out on this. You're missing out on this cool thing that everybody else is getting access to. So that's all under self-interest, and you can write your messages around these. So this is a guide for you or your copywriters to write your messages. And this isn't just emails. This is ads, landers, follow-up sequences, retargeting campaigns that are sequenced. It applies to everything. And then you go to personal. So one of our biggest lead gen methods in rival media is quizzes and surveys. You know, what Game of Thrones character are you? All of that kind of stuff. It looks hokey, but people really want to find out about themselves because most people think that they are the most interesting person they know, right? Just ask. Band of Brothers, inclusion in a movement. So Digital Marketer created this mission to impact 10,000 businesses, to double the sales of 10,000 businesses. And you hear other businesses like Tom's Shoes who want to house provide shoes for children in third world countries that can't afford them. So something around a movement would be good. That's charitable. Confessions, the We're on a Mission from God stuff from like Blues Brothers, or Help Me Out, which are three of the most powerful words in the English language because everyone wants to help someone. If you remember when Bob Cialdini spoke at Traffic and Conversion Summit, we talked about a copier study where this lady went up to people who were standing in line for the copier and said, "Can I cut in line and make copies?" And most people said no. And then when she said, "Can I cut in front of you because I need to make copies?" then a whole lot more people, about 3 times as I recall, the number of people let her in, because there was a reason and people like to help people out. Of course she needs to make copies. Everybody in the line needs to make copies or they wouldn't be in the line to make copies, right? So use that in your messaging. So that's gain. Then we go to logic. We've got them all excited about the thing they're going to get. Now we've spoken to their lizard brain. How do we speak to the logical brain, right? The human brain. That's to give them logical reasons to justify taking the action we want them to take. So some ways to do that are, Perry created a thing he called the Buddha, the big, undeniable, dominant authority. So that would be citing NASA. Buy this mattress because NASA gives it to the astronauts to sleep on when they go up in space. It's not necessarily a good logical reason, but it is one. Celebrities do it, have it, want to be it. For some reason, if Kylie Jenner now is worth almost $1 billion, I'm participating in her GoFundMe because I feel bad for her that she's not worth $1 billion yet. It's only $900 million. It's taken her like 2 years to do this. It's sad. So if you would all please contribute to her. That also another powerful marketing message, right? The Joneses. You want to keep up with them. Remind your prospect that they want to keep up with the Joneses, okay? experts on demonstrations or how-tos or open editorials, and then testimonials, especially testimonials of other people who were worse off in the mind of your prospect than your prospect is now, who took action and got something significantly better as a result of it. And then data. I love data to inform decisions, but data also helps persuade people. So results in advance is the best data you can ever give. Let them do something in the logic sequence that will prove to them that what you're offering will actually do something good for them. Case studies, 4 out of 5 doctors, that's kind of authority proof. New data or information, a truth about paper or a white paper, or there's some sort of breakthrough so that things have changed. Things are different. These are all logical reasons for the prospect to take the action you want to take. So now we've got them excited about it. What's in it for me? We've said, look, you're super smart if you do this because it's logical. And now we're going to scare the shit out of them. Okay? That's the red section. So are there events that are coming that they need to worry about? It's Valentine's Day and you haven't yet taken action, or it's Christmas. You know, are you going to lose the 10 pounds you need for the family reunion or the class reunion? Personal events that are coming, flash sales, special premiums, which Perry uses and has a fantastic talk that's in the War Room membership site, contests or countdowns that are approaching using deadline funnel or something like that. And then last but not least, using stories, especially stories to inspire fear to cause them to take action, are extremely effective. And that can be a hero's journey that's like an origin story. It could be story jacking. My favorite example of story jacking is one that Perry uses with Survival Life. He saw on the Ellen DeGeneres show that there was a lady who was being interviewed by Ellen, and the lady had escaped from a flood where her house ended up blowing up, and she saved her pet. And she was telling Ellen, when it first happened, when they first gave the order to evacuate, I didn't take action, and that was wrong. Then it became impossible to evacuate because the water had risen up to the point where I couldn't operate my vehicle, and the rescue people came by in the boat, and they said, hey, there's an order to evacuate. You actually need to get out of here. It's not safe. And she said, fine, let me bring my pet. And they said, no pets. And she's like, so they basically gave me the decision of saving my life and ensuring that my pet would absolutely die. And that was unacceptable, and so I stayed. And the water kept rising, and the water kept rising, and eventually it got to where we had to get up on the roof, and people would continue to come by, the emergency people would continue to come by and say, hey, get on, and they never would let me take the pet. And finally, as it was becoming apparent that I didn't have much longer to be able to be up here, one of my neighbors came by on a jet ski and said, you got to get out of here. Said, I'm helping people who got stranded. I got out a long time ago. I'm just coming back trying to help people now. Get on. And she said, but they wouldn't let me bring my pet. Will you? And he's like, of course you can bring your pet. So she went to hop on, and her dress got snagged on one of the gutter things on the roof, and she got stuck. And he just pulled out his knife from behind and cut the dress, and they drove off. And as they were speeding off, the house exploded from a gas thing, right? So now they're safe. What is Perry selling? Knives, right? That's not Perry's story. It is now, right? So that's super powerful. And each one of these little blocks has the power to move people, nothing so much as stories. But if you think about all the emotions that are called into play by the story that he wrote around that, it's pretty impressive. And it's very, very motivating. So use that. Newsjacking, you can do the same thing with news stories that you can with stories that you take from other places. If you're not familiar with Blair Warren and the one-sentence persuasion course, he sells an entire course on one-sentence persuasion, but you can Google one-sentence persuasion course and see the one sentence. So I'm not sure why you would ever buy it, but it's like 6 elements. It's extremely powerful. You can tell stories in that way too. Or you can future pace them by saying, imagine how you will feel when all of these good things happen. So these are all things that you can use to create gain, logic, and fear sequences, 1,728 of them if you do the math, to approach your customers and prospects.